A lot of owners in the landscaping space are losing $500 to $1 million per year, especially when it comes to busy season. And we were working with a couple of clients. I just want to showcase the most frequent issues that we see with landscaping and construction businesses as a whole and how we can resolve them. So in most cases, we see issues with the CRM, so leads. That transitions issues with estimating and quotes. Crew management, a lot of organizations aren't managing their crew effectively. Then materials and equipment, job management, and invoicing and payments. Now, we also have some examples to showcase within our Monday account, which are going to show you exactly how we can resolve most of these issues. Now, I want to start off with leads since this is where most things fall off initially. The first huge revenue hit that we see is with not reaching out to prospects on time. So crews are busy, managers are on the job site, owners are resolving different issues within the business. And on average, homeowners typically call 3 to 5 companies. So the first companies to actually respond are usually the ones who win. And the average job is around $3,000 to $50,000. So if you miss 10 calls per week, and if your close rate is around 50%, since these are inbound leads, that's around $15,000 in lost revenue. Now, most companies usually use something like Excel, their memory, texts, or email threads. But the issue there is that you don't know where leads are really coming from and you can't follow up properly. So companies tend to forget about these prospects. And what they normally say to themselves, oh, I'll just call them back tomorrow. Sure, but your competitors will call them right away. So most often you're going to be losing that deal. And another issue that we tend to see is that following up is a big pain point for most organizations. So most companies never follow up with estimates, and the industry data shows that 80% of landscaping deals require multiple follow-ups. Now, the beautiful part is that we can create something within Monday that can actually dissect everything. And with one click of a button, you're going to know exactly how many new leads you have, which leads are being attempted to be contacted, how many site visits we currently have scheduled, the estimates in progress, and then we also have the estimates sent, so we actually know who to follow up with and how frequently. So as you can see, we have a column to assign someone, so I can assign the salesperson to reach out to these people. We have the lead source, so estimate in progress, estimate sent, follow up needed. We have the different lead statuses, the email, the lead type, so this person came in from cold email, Facebook referral. We also have the service type, so lawn maintenance, patio installation, mulching, landscape design. We have the address, the estimated job value, first contacted date. This is important since we need to know how fast we're working leads, right? So then we have the follow-up date, when we should actually follow up with this prospect, proposal link if we need one, and notes about their interest. So interested in full backyard patio and whatnot. Now, with one click of a button, we'll be able to see our whole sales process and know who's working on how many leads. And we can also create automations that will allow us to follow up with prospects by creating email templates within Monday.com and sending them at different stages and due dates. Now, we also have a sales dashboard, which allows us to actually track our KPIs. So what's our annual target, monthly target, average deal value that we have, the active deals forecasted. As we can see, 50% of the deals are won. We're currently working on a couple of, closing on a couple of other deals, actual revenue by month, forecasts. Now, we can also automate quite a bit when it comes to the lead intake. So we can create custom forms within Monday. And once that prospect fills in that form, let's say he goes to your website, all of that information is going to automatically go within Monday.com. And we can auto assign the salesperson and send notifications and reminders. Hey, please make sure to reach out to Marcus Thompson. He's really interested in lawn maintenance, as we can see, and we'll have all that important information for our sales team to make sure that we can close this lead as effectively and as fast as possible. The main thing to focus on when you're creating a sales CRM is making sure that you know your sales cycle, your sales pipeline, and identifying the key stages that are important for you to know. So, for example, I want to know how many new leads I obtained. Then I want to know how many of those leads are we currently attempting to contact. I want to know how many site visits we've scheduled with these new prospects. And I want to know estimates in progress that we currently have. So if there's any bottlenecks, I can identify them easily. And then I want to know how many estimates we've actually sent out. That's just an example. Different landscaping businesses have their own processes. But again, this is just for the purpose of showcasing a couple of examples. So across the board, we see that most companies take way too long to provide prospects with quotes. So homeowners typically expect a quote within 24 to 48 hours. Most landscaping businesses take around 4 to 7 days, sometimes even weeks. So this is because estimates require site measurements, material calculations, labor planning, and if you take way too long, guess where the prospects are actually going to go, which is your competitors. You're going to lose out on that deal. If estimates are being tracked via email, you know exactly how easy they tend to disappear. And another frequent use case that we see is that estimators are writing numbers on a piece of paper. He goes back into the truck and he totally forgets to send the proposal. And that's how you lose a $10,000 project in a couple of seconds, ultimately. So most companies don't know how many quotes are currently pending, how many deals are closing, the average job size, crew workload, and much more. So this makes forecasting almost impossible. And this is why we have something built out here. So awaiting site visit, these are the prospects that have showed great intent into working with our organization. So just an example, let's say if they're currently in a waiting site visit, I could just click this button and say being prepared. So I've actually been to the site and now I'm preparing the estimate. I just hit being prepared and then it's automatically going to go to ready for estimate. And this will allow me to trigger other automations, for example, tagging the appropriate person that actually needs to handle these estimates, the manager that needs to follow up with prospects, or whatever the use case. But it really helps making sure that we're getting everything on time and meeting deadlines. We also have the estimated value, the estimated labor hours, material cost, and we can also calculate our profit margins, the estimate send date, and if we need to follow up, what date we need to follow up on, and the different notes that we have. So 2,800 square feet, annual maintenance, weekly mowing, just important information for any organization in the landscaping space. Another frequent issue that we see is crew management. So too many companies schedule crews using whiteboards, Excel sheets, and phone calls. So this typically leads to double booking crews, jobs starting late, deadlines being missed, and crews waiting for assignments. So a good example of this is like a crew finishes a job at 1 p.m. and then they call the owner to ask what's next. Well, then you need to kind of like scramble through 5 different tools, Excel sheets, and actually find that information. And while you're getting that information, the crew just sits there idling, doing nothing, which leads to labor cost. So crews also need to know job details. They typically ask what plants go where, what materials were ordered, what the customer requested. And the last thing that you need is like 100 phone calls from different crews asking the same questions, right? Your time should be dedicated growing the business rather than just answering phone calls and something that you can automate. So when the crew has no job documents, no photos, no notes, I can assure you that your phone will be a hotline. And also, if a customer claims that plants were installed wrong, your company won't have any proof of this. So another huge thing that eats into profit margins is most companies don't know how long jobs actually take. Labor costs per job, productivity per crew, which tends to destroy your profitability insights. So ultimately, if I'm an owner, I need to know exactly how many projects we're currently working on and which crews are working on which projects. So as of right now, you can see I have potential projects. So prospects that are in the sales pipeline that we haven't still closed. I have active projects. I will be able to see exactly how many active projects we currently have, how many are paused, and how many are finished. Now, if we go to the crew schedule, we can see that the location, the place itself, like these can be the businesses that we're currently working with. You can name them a person, it could be a job location. Then you can actually see the assigned crew. So crew Alpha, Hardscape, crew Bravo, crew Delta, crew Foxtrot. And then we can see the schedule status. So is it currently in progress? Is there a weather delay? Is it completed? The estimated start date, the end date, priority, weather risks, and notes. And then we can have a file column. Let me just add that right there. Not fire, but file, where we can actually input different files and pictures. So the crew will have everything that they need at the disposal of their fingertips. We can also have a time tracking capability. So when people actually, let's say status and is in progress, it'll automatically trigger this time tracker to start. And then if they pause the job or finish for the day, it's going to automatically stop once they change the status again. We also have a crew directory. So all the crews and all the active crews. So if you have like 10 different crews, you can just add them in here and then you can track their workload. You can see who that crew leader is. So you can assign them here, the different crew members, the notes for that crew, and all the files and documentation that you might need for that. Now, there are things that are currently missing in here. Of course, this is just kind of like a demo, but they can be really easily added into the workspace and make sure that you have everything at your disposal. Another frequent issue that we see is companies not ordering materials on time. So the crew shows up to install a patio, for example. Papers are not delivered, hence the crew sits idle, and guess who has to eat the $1,000 per day loss in labor? That'll be you, my friend. So tracking equipment, you own trucks, trailers, skid steers, mowers, blowers, but most companies don't track maintenance schedules, so equipment locations, repair history. So equipment failure tends to happen more frequently and unexpectedly. So if you go back to Monday, we have the equipment tracker. So we also have the different statuses. So for example, is it available? Is it under maintenance? Is it used on a different job site? Is it broken? We have the last maintenance date. We have the maintenance cost, the next maintenance, which is really important, the current location that it's on, if any, and the notes so that we have for that specific tool. So 2002 model, 1,240 hours, last service, blades sharpened, oil changes, air filter, next 1,500 hours, major service. Just an example. So we also have the materials and orders. So flagstone, crushed granite base, Thompson patio. We have the location and what we need for that specific project. We have the active job tracker, so we know exactly what job we're discussing. We have the material type, plants, stone, mulch. We can add multiple, as you can see, mulch and plants. The supplier, the quantity, the order status. So not ordered, ordered, delivered, delayed. The delivery date, if we know it, the cost, and the notes. So Texas limestone, 2 to 3 inch thickness, delivered at job site from 7 a.m., confirmed with Carlos, for example. The next thing that I want to discuss is the invoicing and payment. So most companies send invoices a week later, sometimes even months later, which destroys cash flow. So change orders are not billed. If extra work isn't documented, companies forget to charge. Small losses accumulate into tens of thousands per year. So for example, we can have the invoice here, the status. So needs to be invoiced, stuck, or need help, whatever the use case. The invoice date, the due date, payment method, QuickBooks sync if you need one, the notes, so monthly maintenance invoice, ACH received, and then we have collected invoices and need to follow up if he hasn't still paid. So we can modify this based on the way that you guys collect the invoices themselves, but it's just important to have a system that will allow you to track invoices to know exactly when you need to invoice people and who hasn't and who has paid. We can also create these dashboards based on the information that we have within Monday. So the sales pipeline value, the current jobs in progress. So I see that we currently have 7 active projects, crew utilization, revenue this month, equipment maintenance alerts, overdue invoices, and much more. Again, this is just a basic overview. We create much more complex systems. But if you would like a tailored demo personalized for your business, let us know. We would love to help. And again, this is just showcasing most of the issues that we see with landscaping businesses across the board with most of our clients over the years. And the solutions are easy to fix. Stop leaving thousands and thousands of dollars per year, especially during busy season, because you don't have an optimized system. Now, again, if you need any help, feel free to contact us, and I'll see you in the next video.